Welcome to this edition of DIY3DTech.com. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at building this project on the 3D printer. We're going to send this off to the Wanhao and print this out. However, before we do, let's talk about this a little bit. Kind of long story short, this is going to be a two-piece model. So we have this center body piece in orange, and then we have these extraneous fins. And long story short is, well, if I just click the one, we'll see if we can move it, and you can see that they're notched to fit together. So all we have to do is slide them together. But what is this, you might be asking yourself? Well, you'll have to wait to the end of the video to see. However, it's a pretty neat little gizmo gadget, or whatever you want to call it. So let's jump over to the real world, and let's send this to the printer, and let's get a time lapse going. So time lapse.
Welcome back. So while you were watching that time lapse, we actually printed the second piece to the project. So it came out actually pretty good. This a little bit strained that's stuck in here. One of the ideas is for this project I had used clear PLA. I really like how this stuff works out, and I used like a 1% well, it might be 5%. Sorry, I have to go back and take a look. So I think this is 5% infill. So as you can see, as the light shines through it, I mean, it's pretty interesting. So anyways, let's go take a quick look at the time lapse of this, and we'll come back and we'll put everything together. So time lapse. So here we are back from the time lapse. So we've got our two pieces now printed out. Okay, so it's time to assemble it. So one of the things you'll notice the way I've designed the model is in the prior setup video, is these go together in short. They just slide together. Now the fit is rather tight, so you have to really push, and there's the finished product. So pretty cool. So a three-dimensional object. Well, it gets a little cooler than that, because you get one of these clock inserts, and the clock insert press fits inside this hole. And I'm not going to press it all the way in because there's fingers that lock. But there you go. You have a Clocket, and it sits there and tells you the time. I mean, how cool is that? So I've been pretty happy with this design. I did make, in the model up on Thingiverse, I've given it a little bit more room in the bottom, because one of the things you'll notice that this version tips a little bit in this direction, and it's because I made the two notches in both pieces equidistant. So in the Thingiverse model, I've made the bottom piece a little bit more, so it has some adjustment, so it doesn't wobble like this, because obviously the two thicknesses of I did it at like 1 mil coming together, leave a little bit, in the expansion of the plastic, leave about a 2 millimeter extra space. I've taken that out in the Thingiverse model, but outside of that, it's come out pretty good. So it's got a little rocket jet down there that I've put, and would be really cool. I'm going to probably do one of these out of glow-in-the-dark PLA, and I'd suggest printing it, with a little bit more infill. And so for kids, I mean, this would just be the coolest little clock. It's a great desk clock, great conversation piece. Actually, I'm going to do more conversation pieces like this with the interlocking components. So I'm going to probably also do a laser cutter version. So I've done a version on the CNC, which I still haven't had time to clean off the CNC version. So cut this out of pine. Make it look better out of hardwood, but I was just experimenting. So it works the same way with the this. I've given it a little extra room because the idea is it just exists like that. It's not as much of a pressure fit, and here I was a little bit worried about it wobbling, so I made the fit a little bit tighter. So anyways, hopefully you found this project an interesting one. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Check out the model on Thingiverse and subscribe to the channel. A lot more coming. See you in the next video. Cheers.
Like below and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date on all of our projects.